All right, welcome back to another edition of the Throws Doc Podcast. I'm your doc, Dr. Charles Inferno. We're writing scripts to cure your throwing ailments. Ailments we're going to talk about today is early season jitters, getting the start to the outdoor season, where most in the Division 1, 2, and 3 world have already started their outdoor campaigns and their quest for outdoor nationals. Our season officially begins this upcoming weekend, April Fool's Day competition at SUNY Geneseo. Hopefully the weather holds up. We'll see. Get into the 40s. It says it's rain or even snow if it dips in the evening like it usually does. We should be okay. But early season jitters. So if you've been following along for the last few months, we've been talking a lot about goal setting and your ideal and what expectations you have for your season and performance, and just like how you're holding yourself accountable to, you know, whatever goals, whatever you really want to accomplish. And with the start of the outdoor season, it gives us new hope, new aspirations, maybe new dreams, and new accomplishments to achieve before, you know, we graduate for those seniors, and as we move forward with, you know, our throwing careers if we're not a senior. And the early season jitters and expectations is what I want to talk about. If you haven't had an opportunity to lay out your outdoor season, I challenge you to do so. So this will be kind of like a series or maybe a couple parts in this episode. So if you're listening or you're going to watch, I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to list your meets, right? List everything out. You know, the date and the location, and basically just on a lined piece of paper. And each line, just list out, you know, April 1st, SUNY Geneseo. Then the next line, you know, maybe April 7th or 8th or 9th, depending on the weekend, depending on the competition schedule, Friday, Saturday, and do that. So we kind of have our season mapped out, right? We have our season listed out. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, I want you to highlight or star the most important competition you have this season, right? So if you've already qualified for nationals, or you're already maybe in the top or whatever, okay, maybe that's the top priority. But for 99% of the athletes, we don't compete at nationals, right? So highlight or circle or star your top priority meets, where you hope to perform your very best. Now in the space next to that meet, this is part 3, step 3, I want you to write, you know, a sentence or a couple thoughts as to why performing at this meet is important to you. Why is performing at this meet, why is performing well at this meet important to you? And then look at that. And what we're going to do in step 4 is we're going to try and prioritize or figure out what we need to do each week leading up to that meet to achieve that goal. So our conference championships at Alfred State are Mother's Day weekend. They are going to be competing at Washington, D.C. this weekend. So it's a Friday, Saturday meet. And for majority of our athletes, that's our top priority, competing well at that meet. Okay? Why? Maybe I want to try and win a conference championship with my team before I graduate. I want to help my team succeed. I want to set a conference record. I want to do this. I want to do that, and I want to do the other. Okay, for your expectations, your aspirations, whatever you want to do. So, leading up to that meet, there's some things that we probably need to accomplish, right? If we're talking about distance, if we're talking about times or what have you, you probably need to hit certain marks beforehand, maybe. If you don't, this is where it's going to get really interesting, right? Because in the space next to each line, or next to each competition, there should be like season goal, or not season goals, but meet goals, like meet expectations, right? So what do I want to accomplish at this meet, or what's the goal for this meet, or you know, what am I going to work on this week leading up to this meet to help me compete well and perform well at my meet in May, at the end of May, or nationals, or what have you. Okay, so it's kind of like step 4. Step 5 is following through with this plan. And that is, I think, the most difficult part. Listing out your season is not very difficult. Step 2, listing and highlighting the most important meets, is maybe not that difficult. Why competing well at that meet is important to you, that might be difficult, right? Figuring out goals and mini accomplishments for each week might not be as difficult. But step 5 of actually playing that out and following the script and following the plan, I think is the most difficult for a couple reasons. One, depending on your level of technique or distances you've thrown, most of my athletes at Fredonia and early on in NAS, every meet was a gangbusters meet. We're going to go out and we're going to try and PR every single meet, no matter what, regardless of the weather, regardless of the conditions, regardless of life, whatever. I'm going to try and PR every meet, every throw, every event. And it doesn't really work out too well. So, and a lot of people, that caused a lot of frustration and just a lot of disappointment, because why can't I PR in the discus every meet? Why can't I PR in the shot put every meet? Hammer, javelin, whatever. Okay. But following the script and attaining those small goals, those small wins, is going to help build confidence in you. And you're going to start feeling more comfortable when you compete. Because maybe the goal for the first meet is to, you know, have a 2-turn hammer throw and you stay in for all your throws. Okay, maybe it's not to make the finals, or maybe it's not to set a personal best, but I want to take all 2-turn throws in the hammer, and I'm gonna not foul. And then the next meet, it might be, well, I'm gonna take 3-turn throws, and I don't want to foul. And then the third meet might be, I'm gonna take 3-turn throws, but I'm really gonna crank it up on 2 and 3, and I'm really gonna work on my finish, or, you know, whatever it's gonna look like. Okay. And then you start accomplishing these wins, these weekly wins and these daily wins at the end of your season. And you start feeling a lot better about yourself. And when you start feeling better about yourself, you feel more confident. And you might have a different outlook or a different perspective on what you're doing in competition. But really it takes those 5 steps for the most part to kind of cure that throwing ailment of those pre-competition jitters for you, right? So step 1, just kind of recap, is we're going to plan out, we're going to map out our season on a piece of paper, right? Step 2, we're going to highlight which meet is most important for us and why. Step 3 is we're going to pick why throwing well at that meet is important to us, And it's kind of important. We want to figure out why we want to compete well at the best competition that we're going to go to. Step 4 is we're going to pick and choose mini goals that we're going to try and set for ourselves for each of the other meets in competition. And then step 5 is we're going to stick to the script, that whatever we write out for week 1, that we're going to follow through on that. We're going to practice that, and we're going to prepare ourselves for that in competition, as opposed to, excuse me, going gangbusters every meet and maybe not being as successful. So thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Throws Doc Podcast. I'm your doc, Dr. Charles Inferna, and have a great day.